Hello and welcome to the Center Stage 1 podcast. I'm your host, John, and we are here with our new friend, Sean Shannon.
Hello.
Sean, normally I would introduce the guest and let the viewers know what all you do. You have a plethora of things. I'm going to let you do that. So, for people who aren't aware of who you are, what all do you do?
Okay, well, first of all, thanks for coming into Mix Monsters and talking with me. I really enjoy that. So what I do is I'm a drummer. I've done a lot of touring and records. I've made hundreds of records and been all over internationally touring on stages from arenas to little sheds and clubs. And but at the same time, I'm also an engineer. So I have been mixing and producing records for decades, and I started really young on both of those. And beyond that, I also do a training program for other engineers to help bring them up to speed. I train the union guys down there at the theater on how to do live sound, and I also have my own studio mixing training program called the Mixing Workshop, which is heavy on ear training, critical listening, identifying audio issues and delay times, compression settings, and all that by ear, and also how to mix. The student mixes a whole record during the course, so it's pretty cool. So I am pretty busy trying to juggle all those things, and it's just fun. You know, really, I'm just trying to have as much fun as I can before I croak, and playing drums, traveling around, meeting people, playing records, playing on records, and you know, mixing records. I just love it. And I'm actually going to update this room here from a stereo mixing room to an Atmos 7.1.4 surround mixing lab. That's going to happen this summer.
Which we all know what that means.
Yeah, that means like when somebody's mixing a movie and they have a home theater audience, they will have things that come from the front, like the talking and stuff, but then you'll hear car horns over here or a jet pass by in the distance. That's surround. And Dolby Atmos is becoming very popular. I mean, with Apple Music and YouTube and stuff, they actually start prioritizing the Atmos mixes over the stereo mixes. So if bands want to get their records mixed in Atmos, that might bump them up a little bit on the rotation there.
And very soon they'll know a guy who does that.
Yeah, and pretty soon I'll be doing it all.
So, a lot on your plate. I want to go back to the very first thing that I think you said you started with, which was drums. Is that correct?
Yes.
And, walk me. I think you said 4 years old is when you first started playing.
Yeah. So I grew up and we had 5 kids, and my older sister, who's a year older than me, played acoustic guitar, and so I was banging around on the drums and playing a little bit of her guitar. And she got a real acoustic guitar, and I just had this little drum pad, and I started taking lessons at like 4. And I actually remember the detail. He's breaking it into quarter notes and eighth notes, and I was getting it. I was 4, and I'm home practicing for like 10 minutes. Okay, I got this. And then I just started banging on it so my parents could hear me practicing. But after a while, I was like, how come she's got a real guitar and I have this fake little drum here? And so I got into real drums, and I just spent hours a day copying every record. I memorized all the Jeff Beck stuff, the Rush stuff with Neil Peart, and album after album, and which was good because eventually my dream of touring the world and being a drummer on records came true, and I found myself in the hot seat out there on the big stage. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah. So how did you get from that little 4-year-old just banging on the drum pad to I'm now here recording albums. I'm now here performing as a drummer, as a living. Walk me through that transitional phase.
So it's not really easy. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there who play an instrument or sing or whatever, and they want to be the next rock star and go out there and tour. And it was different when I was doing it. We didn't have the internet. Now you could post a video and 10,000 people will watch it. What I had to do was make a cassette tape that showcased my talents and get an 8x10 made and package those together and put it with the talent agencies. And one day, this is kind of funny, but one day I was out playing gigs with Les Dudek and other bands, and every day I'm sitting there working on my bouncing and my stick flips and the cool moves and being tight on the drums. And one day I get this call from Kevin Ryan with the Pat Travers Band. Hey, Sean, it's Kevin. How's it going? I'm like, great. He says, Pat's looking for a drummer. You want to audition? I'm like, sure. So he goes, okay, Vicky wants to talk to you. And he puts his old girlfriend on the phone. And she goes, hey, Sean. And I said, who's this? And I hear her turn to Kevin and go, you got the wrong Sean. So apparently he thought he was calling a different Sean, but since the agency had my stuff sitting there, and I was looking for months and months of how could I get into a band. But so he calls me and he says, okay, well, you're a different Sean, but do you want to audition anyways? And I'm like, sure. So I went down there, I learned a couple Pat Travers songs, and he was just an idol of mine. And I mean, it goes back to when I was at home growing up. I was weeding the bricks out in front of the house. My mom had us doing chores, and I had a boom box. And boom, boom, out goes the lights, comes on, and it's Tommy Aldridge, double kick, just beating the crap out of these things. And I'm like, I'm 16, and I'm like, who's that? So I started calling talent agencies trying to get in Pat Travers Band so I could be that guy, right? I mean, I had cojones, you know? And so we didn't get a hold of him. And years later, I had a studio in Florida, and he comes in to rehearse, and I'm like, here's the man. So anyways, to finish this phone call, I go over there and I say, yeah, I'll audition. I go over there to audition. I set up my drums and I'm nervous, and Pat's tuning up and stuff. And he goes, so what do you want to play? And I said, how about Heat in the Street? And he goes, oh, okay, because that's not an easy song, right? So we kick that song out, and the song comes to an end, and the sound of the cymbals is dying in the room. And he turns around, he puts his guitar down, and he comes over to me, he says, would you like a job? And I was like, yes, I would. We were on tour in a week. It was awesome. That was my first touring gig. But yeah, all those hours in woodshedding in the garage and stuff paid off because I could do it.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Hard work, being ready, and a little bit of luck.
Yeah, it's all of that combined. And the hard work is, you know, sometimes you think you're just wasting your time.
Yeah.
And this, am I just going to be a shoe salesman? Is this going to be married with children for the rest of my life? But, you know, opportunities come up. And I'll tell you, you mix a great record, or you work with somebody famous, and you make that connection, and everybody likes each other, and you're really talented and can pull it off, it's going to happen, you know? So
then how did you get into the mixing side of things after that?
So while I was doing all this drumming, I had a little cassette deck with 2 inputs on it, and I would position mics all around the drums and record myself. I still have those tapes. I got a cassette deck over here, and I listen to it, and I'm like, man, that was pretty good for 12, you know? And so I was always recording. I was recording my bands. I was recording my friends' bands. And then I went to college at SUNY Fredonia, which was a technical school, but also had an accredited music school attached. And as I'm doing physics and calculus on this side, I'm going over to this side and playing on people's records going, I want to be in the studio. So I told Dave Moulton, that's what I want to do. And so he said, well, you're going to have to, you know, audition on percussion instruments. You're going to have to conduct a chorus and an orchestra. You're going to have to do all these things. And so he kind of told me what to do. And I went to the head of the percussion department. He goes, oh, yeah, I can help you. Trained me on marimbas and pianos and all this stuff so I could pass the audition. And I passed. And so I'd already done 3 years. And then the last 2 years, I had to do the whole 4-year Tonmeister program, so I did that. It was pretty busy. And so that taught me a lot about how all this stuff works, how tape works, how to mic things, what ear training even is. And from there, I graduated, immediately went to Florida and started mixing sound for Shamu at SeaWorld and building studios and getting my bands places to record. And it just kept going up and up and up from there. And it's just been a fun ride the whole time.
now you are at the point where you're taking everything that you've learned and you're now teaching others.
Yeah, so I still am extremely active. I've got a mix up here I got to turn in tonight. Pat Travers I'm still producing his records. He's in tomorrow, doing some guitar and vocals. I'm going to mix that record, and I'll be playing drums on it as well. And the funny thing about that one is his first record he ever recorded was 50 years ago, April 1976. So when he first came in and started working on this, he goes, just so you know, this is like my 50th anniversary recording. I want this to be really good. And I'm like, it's going to be good, bro. I toured with him for 10 years or whatever, so I know his style and all that. But yeah, so everything I've learned, all the mistakes I've made, all the tricks I've learned, and the ear training that I've had to undergo by myself. I just put a course together that culls it all into like a 10 or 15 lesson single semester length, where I start at the beginning. This is what sound is. This is how it behaves in your room. This is how you capture it. And then we get into all the tools. And by the end, we're mixing and mastering a record. And we also get into some live sound topics as well. But yeah, so I just figured let's give back. And it's just great. These guys come in. Most of my students actually have graduated from an audio school, but they don't really teach heavy ear training and mixing. So they come in and they're like, this is great. Why didn't we get this in school? I'm like, let's dive in. And by the end, I'm listening to their mixes going, bro, I would let you mix the end of the session, walk out the door mixes. These sound really good. I just love it. So it's good times and really, really, get to give back.
Yeah.
So
that sounds super rewarding.
it is. And then I turn around like tomorrow, after tomorrow, Wednesday, I've got a student starting his course. He's in Africa. So we're teaching in Zoom, and on my screen, I do screen sharing. I show him, well, we do the lecture portion, but then I have a tutorial portion where he loads up the session I send him, and he starts mixing, and I'm mixing it with him. And then the next time we get together, we critique his mix, and I send him a new song. And so he mixes like a whole album. He's going to love it. But so, yeah, there's a lot to do. And as soon as I finish his class, I shut this down, I load up Pro Tools, and I'm back into another mix myself. And it's like somebody said to Pat Travers one time, he's getting older, and they're like, are you still touring? And he says, what else am I going to do? I mean, and that's what I feel about my life. They're like, you're still playing drums and mixing? I'm like, what else am I going to do? All of a sudden, I'm going to go into, constructing origami or something. I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's what I do.
We all know that's where the money is.
And I really like being on the forefront of what's happening and being the guy that people come to ask the questions. Like when I'm at work all day, I'm the head audio at this huge theater, and there's nobody around me above me. So if something goes wrong, I have to troubleshoot and fix it right then because there's a show.
Yeah.
So I just love it. It's I think it's like kind of right up my alley, but
Yeah.
so my day gig, my night gig, my teaching gig, it's all something I just create for myself. I made my world happen,
Yeah.
So
as someone who is living their best life, doing all the creative things that you've always wanted to do, and this has been your life forever now, what piece of advice would you offer to anyone who is looking to get started, whether it's exactly what you do, anything creative, but what's that one piece of advice?
well, the one piece of advice that I would try to give to up and coming any career, if you want to get into computers and coding, which by the way, AI is just kicking butt on that. I had AI, I tell AI what I want on my website, the code spits out. So some careers, lawyers, you can look up anything. Doctors, I feel this, what should I do? I mean, it's all I don't know what's gonna happen to these guys because AI knows everything. But anyways, the one piece of advice I would give to up and coming aspiring engineers, musicians, painters, whatever your thing is get really, really good at doing what you love. If you like running and you want to be a competitive athlete, then get really good at it and be the best runner there's ever been on the planet. I mean, I worked hours a day alongside Billy Cobham and the Jeff Beck records and Rush and all these things just to put myself in the shoes of the top guys and compare myself to them. Don't compare yourself to some other local guy. Compare yourself to the top. If you want to be a front man, look at Michael Jackson, look at Dwight Yoakam, look at all the genres. What are they doing? What moves do they have? How are they holding themselves on stage? That sort of thing. So get really good at what you love, but get really good at another thing, because you're going to have periods where maybe that's not working out. So that's why I have 3 careers at once. Something doesn't work out, there's something else I can do. And my advice is basically find something you love and get really good at it. I get guys coming into the theater and they want to do audio, and I'm like, so what audio are you doing now? And they're like, well, I haven't really done any. And it's like, get a computer, get some software on there, and start making sounds. I mean, if you can, even just soundscaping, you can work on game audio, you can work on movies, you can get into doing Foley where you're recording their footsteps and lining it up with the screen and all. There's so many careers that are more fun than punching a clock down at Walmart. I mean, get good at what you want to do. That's my advice. Thank you. My little TED Talk there.
Well, thank you for the TED Talk. One last question here. I've always wanted to ask this. Have you ever had a situation where you were recording an artist, a band, anyone, and you're just like, why are they here? Why are they should not be doing music, and yet we're here? Have you had that situation, and have you been able to flip it around and be like, here's a good product?
Okay, so that's a good question, because people ask, hey, can you really polish a turd? And my answer is yes. Okay. You can polish a turd. So I take on local bands who haven't toured, they don't have years of stage experience. Maybe this is their first time in the studio, maybe they're 13, maybe they're 50 and just want to make a record. They want to hear themselves, you know? So, and the drummer might have some timing issues. The guitar player might keep going out of tune. The bass player might always miss the cue. The singer needs some help, you know, so, you know, pitchiness and stuff. So with today's tools, you can tune vocals up. You can slide a bass hit so he's on time with the drummer. I can go ahead and say, well, his fill sped up, and let me just move it, just shift it a little bit, and now his fill sounds in time. And when they get it back and they play it, they're like, man, we sound really good, and thank you very much. And they'll release the record. And so I kind of polish the turd, and I mix it, and I'm listening to a hit record while I'm mixing there. So I'm like, okay, well, on that record, the snare sounds really cool. Let me make their snare sound like that. Or their vocal is a little quieter than mine. Oh, my vocal's too hot. And I'll do this A-B mixing, and then when I turn it in, they sound like it should be on their record, and they're just thrilled. So yeah, there's a lot of bands. Sometimes I'm sitting there going, why am I doing this? This is going to be a lot of work. And then I get to work with people like, obviously Pat Travers. I've done Molly Hatchet records. I've worked with Carmine Appice and Billy Payne with Little Feat. And you know, I just, a few years back, I did a record with William Shatner. I mean, I'm hearing Captain Kirk come out of my speakers. And that one went to #1 on the Billboard Blues charts. So it runs the gamut, and I mix the up-and-comers with the experienced pros, and I try to bring everybody up to, you know, as high a level that I feel comfortable saying, here's your album, you know. Yeah. So, yeah, you can polish a turd.
Good to know. I know I said one more question. I lied. I feel like we've touched on it for a second. I feel like you have a rant ready to go about AI and what it's doing to the audio industry. And I will let you go on that if you want to.
So the AI thing, like I mentioned, lawyers, doctors, anybody who's just in the information business, might have a hard time because there's so much information that's instantly accessible. AI coded HTML for my whole website. And I already had a website, but I didn't know how to make it look better. So, and I mean, it used to take me a week. Can you change the spelling on this one word? Yeah, let me get back to you. A week later, it would come in, and now something else is bad. And months just to get your website fixed. 2 minutes, it's fixed, and I'm on to the next thing. So, but when AI comes to, and I like to say, I want AI to mow my lawn and do my dishes. I don't want AI to write my songs, right? So we got guys I just played you this song. This guy doesn't play an instrument, doesn't sing. And he played me this song that Suno did for him that sounds like a brand new Evanescence record. And it's so good, it's scary that I'm starting to think, my competition as a record producer isn't just other record producers anymore. It's now those guys and the computer. Excuse me. I have to compete against this computer, which is getting so good. And my daughter, she's a student at Berkeley. She hates AI. Everyone that's in the audio and music and acting business, they hate AI because AI can come in and do some of the things you're supposed to be doing. I want to be creative. I don't want AI to take over the creative side. I want it to do mundane tasks, And so my little rant is, let's try to keep as much creativity human as possible. And use it for what it can do and for how it can help you. When I'm writing songs, I might use a thesaurus. What rhymes with this? But now you can go to AI and go, give me 10 words that rhyme with banana. And boom, they all just shoot out and you're like, bro, we can use this, cabana. Well, I wasn't even thinking of that, so we can use this. But yeah, so it can be very helpful, but at the same time, what really scares me about AI, and I saw Terminator, is think about this. You got robots out there with police forces and militaries now that are armed and can be loaded with all the information on the planet. And let's say you can't read a barcode, right? But what if all these robots start talking to each other in barcodes? You don't know what they're saying. They're rebuilding themselves. They're building factories to keep themselves getting built. And then they're shooting people. It's like, we could be on the edge of Terminator here. So, I like AI for what it can do as a tool, but in the back of my mind, I'm still kind of concerned that if it gets in the wrong hands, it could be bad, and then it could take jobs away from all my friends and all my buddies. So there you go.
There you go. TED Talk number 2.
I scared the crap out of my wife with that line of thinking, but,
She says, okay, thanks for that.
She's like, thanks for the anxiety.
All right. Well, Sean, it's been a pleasure. Where can people find you, your socials, and then also if you'd like to talk about and plug your specific the school and the recording.
So my website is mixingtheband.com. My email is mixingtheband@gmail. So anyone can reach out to me through that. I spend a lot of time posting every day on Facebook because there's a lot of bands on Facebook, and they see me posting about what I'm doing, and then I get messages, hey, can you mix my record? Hey, my son is 18. He doesn't want to pay $80,000 a semester for Full Sail, or a year or whatever it is. Can you take him into your class? And so for not very much money, I run him through the class, and he's out there mixing. Some of my students have landed great gigs. One guy, he's been at Disney Imagination House for 15 years since he took my class. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. And so you can go to that website for training information, to reach me about mixing or playing drums on records, or just for advice. I like to talk. And so, that's how you reach me.
Awesome.
Mixing the Band.
Mixing the Band. All right. Well, Sean, again, thanks. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for coming. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And this is Mix Monsters, my private studio.
Yeah.
I don't really advertise this room. I just do. I do run some bands through here, but mostly it's me playing drums on records, doing overdubs, and me mixing albums. Great room for that. So yeah, glad you guys could stop by and see what I have going on here and drop into my world for a minute.
Yeah, that's an awesome little place.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
All right, see you later, guys.
It's been a Center Stage 1 podcast. This time not at the historic downtown theater on Bay Street, but here at Mix Monsters. So we'll see you next time.
Later. Thank you.